Today's notes are on adding and subtracting fractions. In order to talk through adding and subtracting fractions, we first need to convert from a mixed number to an improper fraction. So a mixed number looks like this, has a whole part and then a fractional part. That is called a mixed number. So it's got the whole part and the fractional part, 1 and 1/4, 2 and 3/4, and so on. An improper fraction is when the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So again, notes are out. Give yourself a title. We are asked to convert from a mixed number to an improper fraction. Convert from a mixed number to an improper fraction. And this is what we're going to do over here. Again, this should go in your notes as well. We are going to multiply the denominator, the bottom, by the whole number, and then add the numerator. Multiply the denominator by the whole number, then add the numerator. Keep the denominator the same. The bottom stays the same. So example 1 asks us to convert 1 and 1/4 from a mixed number to an improper fraction. So we multiply the denominator by the whole number. So that's 4. There's our denominator times 1. 4 times 1 is 4. And then add the numerator, plus 1. Gives us 5. Again, that's 4 times 1 plus 1. Denominator stays the same. Was 4, so it's still 4. 5/4. So here we do 4 times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Add the numerator, plus 3. Gives me 11. That's my numerator. Denominator stays the same, 11/4. 2 3/4 is the same thing as 11/4. -5.5. -5.5. If it's negative, the whole thing's negative. The 5's negative and the 1/2's negative. It's easiest just to do, well, that's a bad parenthesis, but change the 5.5 to an improper fraction and then make it negative at the end. So we're not going to worry about that negative sign when we convert. We're just doing 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So 5.5 is 11/2, and because it was -5.5, it's -11/2. Seven times 3 is 21. Add the numerator. Plus 2 gives me 23. This is the same thing as 23/7. The denominator, the bottom, stays the same. You try number 5. Number 5 says 6 1/3. 6 1/3. You get that one. I'll give you a minute here. Six 1/3. So we're doing 3 times 6. It's 18. Plus 1 is 19. So I get 19/3. All right, so hopefully we are good with converting from a mixed number to an improper fraction. The reason we are doing this is because we are going to add and subtract fractions. When we add and subtract fractions, we have to have a common denominator. So the denominators, the bottom, needs to be the same on each fraction. So if we have a common denominator, we add the numerators and keep the denominator the same. If we have a common denominator, if the denominators are the same, we add or subtract the numerators, whatever it tells us to do, and then the denominator stays the same. So our first one here says 2/3 plus 5/3. So we need to make sure we have a common denominator. The denominator is 3 and 3. So the denominators are the same. I've got 2/3, and then I have 5 more thirds. We add the numerators. We add the top, 2 plus 5. And we keep the denominator the same. They were both 3. It is still 3. We had 2/3. We added 5 more thirds. So we have a total of 7/3. -3/5 plus 2/5. We were asked to add two fractions. When we add fractions, we make sure we have a common denominator, 5 and 5. We add the numerators, -3 plus 2. -3 plus 2 is -1, and we keep the denominator the same. Example 3 says 2 1/4 minus -3/4. First thing I would recognize, we got minus negative. We can change minus negative to plus. I'm just going to rewrite it with a plus sign. If we have a mixed number, we want to change it to an improper fraction. That's what we did on the previous slide. So 2 1/4, I'm doing 4 times 2 plus 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So this is the same thing as 9/4. I do have a common denominator, so I can go ahead and add. We add the numerators. 9 plus 3 is 12. Keep the denominator the same. And on the previous couple, we stopped right there. -1/5, 7/3. 12 divided by 4 comes out even. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So if it comes out even, we're going to go ahead and divide it. If it doesn't come out even and can be reduced, we talked about simplifying fractions last time. You did it as your warm-ups today. You want to reduce that fraction if you can. Example 4, -5/6 minus 1 1/6. -5/6 minus 1 1/6. First thing I would do is recognize I've got a mixed number here. We want to change that to an improper fraction. 6 times 1 plus 1. Oops, 6. 6 times 1, 6, not 7. 6 plus 1 is 7. So this is -5/6 minus 7/6. -5 minus 7 is -12. Denominator stays the same. -12 divided by 6 comes out even. It's -2. -2 is correct. Again, I want you to try one here. I want you to do number 5. Again, I'll give you a minute or two to do it. Let's go 2 2/3 plus 2/3. 2 2/3 plus 2/3. So 2 2/3 is a mixed number. So let's make sure that we change it to an improper fraction. 3 times 2, 6, plus 2 gives me 8. 8 over 3 as a mixed number, or I'm sorry, as an improper fraction. I have a common denominator, so we add across the top. 8 plus 2 is 10. Keep the denominator the same, 10 over 3. And the final type of problem is if we do not have common denominators, if the denominators are not the same. If the denominators are not the same, the first thing we need to do is get a common denominator. So we are going to change any improper, or change any mixed numbers to improper fractions, and then we need to get the common denominator. First change to improper fractions, then get our common denominator. So number 1 says 1/3 minus 1/2. 1/3 minus 1/2. So I've got denominators of 3 and 2. Those are not the same. So 3 and 2, I need to get a common multiple between 3 and 2. I need to make those the same thing. So 3 has multiples of 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. And then my other denominator was 2. The multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. We want the smallest one that they have in common. So 6, notice 12 is also in common, but the smallest one is 6. So that is our common denominator. I'm going to make both of my denominators 6. And then you want to think about 3. What did I multiply 3 by to get 6? 3 times 2 is 6. So I need to multiply the top times 2. So I did 3 times 2. So I multiply the top times 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 2, to go from 2 to 6, I multiplied times 3. If I multiply the bottom by 3, I need to multiply the top by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. And now we have common denominators. Once I have common denominators, I do it just like the ones we did on the previous slide. 2 minus 3 is -1. Denominators stay the same. Number two, -2/5 minus 1/10. -2/5 minus 1/10. So denominators are 5 and 10. They're not the same. We need to make them the same. 5 and 10. So multiples of 5 would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Multiples of 10 are 10. Well, there's one in common already. I can make both denominators 10. My denominator was 5, now it's 10. Looks like I multiplied times 2. So multiply the top times 2. 2 times -2 is -4. This denominator was already 10, and it's still 10. I didn't change the bottom, so don't change the top. -4 minus 1. -4 minus 1 is -5. Denominator stays the same. And then last class, we learned how to reduce. 5 divided by 10 doesn't come out even. So we want to see, is there anything I can divide the top and the bottom by? I can divide them both by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. -5 divided by 5 is -1. Last one, number 3. 2 1/4 minus 5/6. 2 1/4 minus 5/6. We do not have common denominators, but we also have a mixed number. Let's first change that mixed number to an improper fraction. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. We don't have common denominators. We need to get the same denominator. My denominators are 4 and 6. 4 would be 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. And if that's not enough, we'll list some more if we have to. Multiples of 6 would be 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Oh, there's one already, 12. So I can make both denominators 12. 4 times what is 12? Times 3. Multiply the top times 3 as well. 9 times 3 is 27. 6 times what is 12? Times 2. So multiply the top times 2. Combine across the top. 27 minus 10. Bottom stays the same. 17 divided by 12 does not come out even. The only thing that multiplies the 17 is 1 times 17. It's a prime number. We leave it as 17 over 12. That is all for today's notes.